everybody. I'm back. That's right. It's Jessica Koch. I am your favorite host. Oh, wait, your only host of Profound Professionals. And you have been joining us. Oh, my goodness, my community. I send you love and hearts and wonderfulness for sharing and liking and commenting on our journey for 9 years now. We bring you global experts. They're amazing. They're from all over the planet. That's right. Global, the whole world. And they help improve your personal life. They help you grow your business. Well, Elizabeth, she is wildly successful world disruptor. She is disrupting that whole world of ours. And she's going to tell us just how she's doing it. And you know what? We want to be stood out. We want to be heard. We want to be found in all the noise that's happening in this world. So we might want to just do a little disrupting ourselves. So welcome, Elizabeth, and thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Jessica, for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here with you.
What are you up to disrupting this world? What exactly are we doing wildly, successfully in disrupting?
Oh, I want people to have courageous conversations with each other.
Mhm.
Get back to the basics of relationship, community, and connection.
When I was very young and I was just learning the door-to-door sales and all of the process of cold calling and walking up to a perfect stranger and learning how to actually have a conversation and components of a conversation. I used to love the icebreakers, learning how to break the ice and have a conversation and meet and talk with someone new that you never spoke to before and have an amazing conversation. And I think we've gotten away from a lot of the foundations of learning so much of that because our world has changed as we roll, and we've lost some of that foundational training on communication. So tell me how and why people come to you to relearn this skill.
Well, because oftentimes people feel like anytime they have a conversation, it's going to be confrontational. And that's not what it's about. It's about an invitation to conversation. So we
Mm-hmm.
need to start with things like part of my 5 strategies of dedicated listening is to understand where the other person comes from first. So I tell them, because the topic is understanding versus judgment. Well, we need to put our judgment aside and be able to be curiously engaged about what's going on with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it starts.
And there's a real a correlation to, again, my sales training that I've learned here in when you're listening to someone, mirroring their body language, their speed. If they're fast and bubbly, you might want to try to keep up with fast and bubbly. But if they're slow and thoughtful, you might want to lean in and be slow down a little, even if you are fast and bubbly, and be thoughtful, and then listen to the words they're using. And when you do get a chance to reply back, incorporate some of those words or words that are similar to them, another version of that word. Your thesaurus will come in handy here because these are words that this person can relate to. Now, you can even hear sometimes in someone how they speak, how they learn well. Like if they use a lot of do you see what I mean? This may mean that they are very visual and they like images and pictures and they like to see something before they move forward. So I love that you're going back to communication.
Well, because that's what helps to bridge the gap
Mm-hmm.
of disconnect. Because right now the world is in chaos, and it doesn't matter what province or what country or what part of the world we're in,
Mm-hmm.
because people have become so incredibly positional. They think that their way is the only way. Well, it's sad to say, but it's only a way. And so there are so many other ways of doing things. But what we need to be able to do is to understand somebody else's perspective. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not like you have to agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
There, in that, I would hazard a guess to say that there's some common ground.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at, because we all want the same kinds of things. We want good education. We want good health care. We want people to be fed. We want security. We want our homes. We want this world to be a better place. Well, we can't have that if we never have conversation with each other. And if it's only one person's point of view, and everybody has to listen to it or go in that direction. And it's not always safe. So
Mm-mm.
that's a place where even if, if it's with school children or your children or your partner or a colleague at work or somebody that you supervise or that you manage, we need to be able to have those conversations so that people feel heard, they feel valued, they feel like they have a purpose, and that they are acknowledged for what they do.
I really appreciate what you're saying, and I think it's really important that we do things like if especially if you have a different perspective that you're hoping to share with someone who has a different point of view from you, to hear them out, like you said, acknowledge what they're saying, and I respect and hear what you're saying. I appreciate and really like this one point you made, Elizabeth, and we might also think about XYZ, right? So, and instead of but is a really
Yes.
great connector because it doesn't separate you in the world. And I really think that that's I'm going to ask you for a tip here very soon in a few minutes. But one of the ones that I would share is that I really opened up how I thought about things when I was, even if I was trying to unpuzzle a puzzle, that it doesn't have to be this or that. It could be this and that. And there could be
Mhm.
multiple versions of solutions that bring us the success that we're driving to. So coming at it from different ways with different personality types. And I think a lot of it is personality types. I have some really cool personality tests that are free that I share with my community. And that also helps me understand them better, how to better communicate with them based on personality type. That's been very useful for me.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, because then that way, and you mentioned it before, if somebody's saying, well, do you see what I mean? Or, you know, uh, excuse me, or they're much more of a digital version of
Hmm.
something, or linear, or they're coming from more of that what I think of either engineers or accountants, right? They have a particular way in which they see things and how they speak, and then somebody else might be, bouncing off the walls or so on, and that's a different form, right? That's
Hmm.
more kinesthetic. I mean, because if we
Hmm.
understand social emotional behavior and so on, there's all kinds of dynamics. And so with that, then that gives us a better place to be able to start to have relationship and conversation and invite them into being able to explain and understand, and that place allows us to be heard. It allows us to be acknowledged for where we are and where we come from, and those things have gone along the wayside because I mean,
Hmm.
you know i I have, I sometimes use this when I'm having conversation with people and say that we have a collective PhD in avoidance,
Hmm.
because we don't like to, we think that every time we're going to have a conversation it's going to be a conflict, and it isn't. It's about being able to understand. It's about engaging in being curious and asking questions. It's about understanding that behavior is a form of communication. And
Hmm.
so rather than being reactive to it, and I sometimes use this example, if you have a high school kid, because I really like junior high and high school kids. So, and you'll know a little bit more about that in a minute. But your kid comes home and they throw their backpack against the wall and they stomp off to their room. And you have one of two choices of things that you might likely say or do. And one of them is, why the hell did you throw your backpack? Or what happened today that made you have to do that?
Hmm.
Right? So it's in the tone, it's in the way we address people, it's in recognizing that they have feelings and emotions and so on, and sometimes they don't know how to share them as well as they could, or that they don't have the skills yet to be able to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. So when do people come to work with you? When do people seek you out, Elizabeth? Is it that they're having communication challenges in their home, in their business, and in their life? What's a reason someone will come and reach out to you to see
Well,
about?
it's actually all of those.
Mm,
So, because my background is in the field of education, I was in education for over 35 years, and I retired a couple of years ago as a school principal. And I wrote a book called Courageous Conversations, a guide for parents to understand and connect with their teens. And
mm,
I break it gently to parents that teenagers typically start now at 8 and not 13. So I help parents navigate the world of having conversations with kids and understanding and being able to really understand that that hidden backpack that kids carry are all of their emotions, are their ups and downs and their fear and their grief and everything else in between, and being able to have those kind of conversations. In workplaces, I have similar conversations with teams and managers and leaders so that they can understand too how to have the skills or enhance their skills in
mm,
terms of conflict management and in terms of having a courageous conversation, taking the time rather than avoiding and saying, oh, well, that's Jessica. She's just like that. But rather saying, Jessica, I know that you do great work, but I'm wondering why you always show up late to our meetings. So
mm,
what can we do about that? Let's have a conversation, right? So it
mm,
becomes an invitation and not always that hierarchical space of just, you're out of here, you're fired because
mhm,
I don't need to put myself in that place. If I had addressed it earlier in the conversation or
mm,
earlier in the time when I saw it, then
mhm.
it wouldn't be the same kind of conversation.
Yeah, I teach my clients a technique that I give them this sentence. I say, okay, here's the agreement that we have so that I can serve you to the very best. And so my team can serve you to the very best. You're going to tell us, Jessica, you and your team are amazing. I love this about you. And it would be even better if. And
Mm,
if we can stay in that zone, we never get to disappointment, frustration, lack of communication, or just not knowing how we can
right.
serve someone even better, right? We can serve you even better if. Right. So I actually teach my clients to engage with us in that manner.
Well,
so
that's awesome.
so that we can have success. So if a company is watching or a family is watching or an individual is watching and they're thinking, I really need this kind of support Elizabeth has, what's their next step? Where do they find you and what's their next step and exploring what that would look like?
Uh, if they wanted to send me an email, they could send it to elizabeth@courageousnetwork.com and
Mhm.
ask their questions individually, or they could be in contact with me through my website, which is www.courageousnetwork.com. And there they can pick up the 5 strategies of dedicated listening for parenting or the 5 strategies of dedicated listening in the workplace to at least give them a start in practicing some of those skills.
Mhm.
And then I could work with them at whatever capacity they need.
So is it typically one-on-one with your corporations and your individuals, or do you have workshops or group programs?
Well, actually, I do a little bit of everything. So I have a master class coming up at the end of October
Mm,
for, I'm running 2 this month, one for businesses and industry,
mhm.
and then another one at the end of the month for parents. So the 22nd of October is for business, and the 29th of October is for parents.
And if you're watching this 3 years from the show being released, check out her website again, and you may find the most updated workshops and events that you can attend. So tell us again what the website is.
www.courageousnetwork.com.
All right, now give us a tip. Give us something good.
I'd like you to step into your conversations with courage.
That's a great tip. step into those conversations with courage, and get some resources, and work with someone like Elizabeth, or check out her tools on her website, so that you have some of the words to use as you step courageously. It's good to have, you step courageously into battle, but you go with a shield and a helmet and a sword. Make sure you have some of those words to make that conversation even more reaching what your goal is. Like you said, you don't want to just react to the teenager in a negative way, because what's your end goal as a parent? Your end goal is to have them make better choices when they're feeling frustrated, and then understand also where their frustration is coming from, right? And so think about what your end goal is and how you can arm yourself with words that will diffuse situations and bring them around to what you're hoping to achieve, right?
Words that heal, not hurt.
That's right. Words that heal, that not hurt. I love that. That's a wonderful tip. How about a nonprofit cause you care about?
Brown Bag Calgary. So we make sandwiches for kids in schools who might not have that luxury all the time.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's a good one. You should check out if there's something near you like that. The whole point of this is to spread a bit of awareness and inspire you to give time, treasure, or talent to the cause our guests share, or just to remember that you have maybe one that's close to your heart, or maybe look up and see what's available for you to help support students in your area that need meals. There may be some kind of program you can step into and give some love to. So thank you so much for that. How about a book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business?
The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes.
That's so funny, because when you've been talking this whole time, I've been thinking about for one of the largest power companies in the world, I had the honor of being asked to teach an art of negotiation class. And Getting to Yes with Yourself is just a fantastic book. He also has Getting to Yes, but he wrote, and I wish I could remember his name. It slips my mind at the moment, but he wrote Getting to Yes with Yourself after he wrote Getting to Yes, but even said himself that you should start with the Getting to Yes with Yourself, and then read Getting to Yes. He grew and learned along the way also. And his children were a bit of his learning curve in his negotiation. And he is a famous negotiator. And I apologize that I can't remember his name, but you can Google it. You'll find it. How about books?
I use it in mediation, actually.
So then do you know the author's name? I can't think of
not off the Ehrlich, I think. I can't think of it off the top of
I know,
my head.
me neither, but fabulous. Have you read both?
No, I haven't read the personal one. I've only read
Getting
the
to Yes with Yourself. Oh, so good. You totally want to get your hands on that one. So that's a good one. You'll love that when you have time, Elizabeth. So how about the books you've written? Let's talk a little bit more about those. We mentioned.
The first book I wrote was called Courageous Conversations, a guide for parents to understand and connect with their teens. And I'm just finishing off my book. I'm not certain I'm going to call it the same, but Courageous Conversations in the Workplace.
Okay.
Because we need to have those.
Absolutely. It has been awesome to have you on the show today, Elizabeth, and I hope you've had some fun too.
I have. It's been a blast. Thanks, Jessica, for having me.
Of course. And if you're out there thinking, wait, I've written a book, I am coaching people, I can help them, I can help them with their business, their personal lives, all the ways, well, reach out to us and we'll tell you just how to get booked on the show. Before we say goodbye today, could you give us a piece of inspiration as we go?
Oh, it's about your intention. So hopefully we're living in the intention of love, because our world certainly needs that now.
I love that intention. And you know what? Really think about before you speak, what is your end goal in that conversation and in those words? What would you really like to happen? I think that could help us all. Thank you so much again for being on the show today, Elizabeth. I am your host, Jessica Koch. Thank you so much for coming to another Profound Professionals. And until the next one, be kind to yourself out there and be kind to each other. Bye, everybody.